It's about that time. Let's go. Welcome to the Clubhouse. This is Velas Weekly Digest. Every Wednesday, make sure that the time's set. Everything blockchain news on the day-to-day. Velas here to tell you, Shirley, take it away.
So hello, I am Sirli Valge. I'm the COO at Velas. On behalf of our team, welcome to the Velas Weekly Blockchain Digest. As every week, I'm joined by a fellow lady from the Crypto Valley as my co-host, Delphine Forma, who's Chief Compliance Officer at Taal, board member of the Open Vaspers Association, and last but not least, a prominent voice in the global blockchain ecosystem. Thank you for joining me, Delphine. And we are joined by your colleague today. He is the president at Taal Distributed Information Technologies, Chris Naprawa. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Chris, I have seen that Taal just raised 40 million. Would you like to tell us a bit more about that? And could you also tell us more about Taal's services and what you guys are doing?
Well, sure. Thank you very much. So, first of all, what I'd say is blockchain adoption, not only among enterprise, but individuals is just starting to be adopted very, very quickly. And what Taal is focused on is being the infrastructure provider for enterprise adoption. And what that means is we have a whole bunch of computers that mine a whole bunch of blocks every single day so that we can provide service level agreements with enterprises of all shapes and sizes so that they can adopt this phenomenal technology. And we think within the next few years, just every single company in the world is going to have blockchain as a core part of their businesses, whether that be in their accounting and finance parts or their supply chain, how they deal with customers, how they share information. So that's why we've raised the money, and is to build out that infrastructure and be prepared for all that.
So are you using like your own native blockchain, which you have developed, or you use third-party services?
No, we are focused on one blockchain and one blockchain only, and that is Bitcoin SV. And for those that are aware, we're quite religious about this one particular one. It's the blockchain that was envisioned in the white paper in 2008 by Satoshi Nakamoto. It's everything that everybody knows about Bitcoin, except it's actually useful and functional. There's tremendous utility in it. It only reemerged about 2 years ago, so a lot of people aren't aware of it now. It trades under the ticker BSV. And this is going to be the blockchain protocol that is adopted, we think, the most broadly in the world, because it's a tremendous scale and really, really low cost. Like, to give you an idea, I think last month the average fees on both Ethereum and BTC were somewhere around $16, $17, $18, somewhere in that range. And same transactions on BSV are less than 1 penny US.
So you don't see any bottlenecks implementing different infrastructures on that chain?
Not for the foreseeable future. So, we're getting ready for mass adoption. We're getting ready for to be able to build out a lot more processing power. We've been doing that now. We lit up our first computers in January of 2021, so it's all kind of new for us. But we are loading up the network every single day, working on partnerships and deals to make sure that we have ample capacity to be able to process all this stuff. It's not, people in crypto have gotten very focused on the native coins, and there's a lot of excitement about that, and rightly so. But that's just one application, really, of what blockchain is capable of. And what are we really talking about here? We're talking about this incredible tool. It's a consensus tool. It's a tool where two parties that don't know each other can trust each other, whether that be two people, a person, a machine, a machine. And that offers incredible opportunities, not just in finance, where you have third-party institutions that are required for trust, but in supply chain, in healthcare, in social media, in gaming. There's endless applications for this, and I think it's going to be broadly adopted in every single sector.
Definitely. All right, very interesting selection. And you have also mining facilities, as far as I've understood.
Yeah, for us to do what we need to do, we still need to mine blocks. So that's a fundamental part of it. So right now, the Taal pool is the largest pool player on Bitcoin SV. We're winning somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 or 40% of the blocks every single day. And that's our intention to maintain that lead. We anticipate that others will emerge, but we just have to be, we've got a lead and now it's our job to maintain it.
And the entity you just recently opened up in Switzerland, so the main business for that is to offer like services to build on blockchain on the Bitcoin SV chain for corporates and so on.
Yeah, well, why Switzerland? Switzerland's got very favorable crypto laws and regulations, and part of our mission is to help legitimize the Bitcoin industry, and the Swiss environment is a very favorable environment to do that in. So, what do you need when you're trying to legitimize an industry like this? You need legitimate banks, custodians, trusted third parties. Where we are is kind of emerged as the crypto valley. There's a lot of people with a lot of expertise. Switzerland's always been a financial center for the entire world. So what a great place to start and to lead. The whole world comes to Switzerland for all things finance. So why not be there?
Yeah, definitely. That's what Velas has done as well. We headquartered in Zug in the crypto valley, and it's definitely the most like the best place to be as a company right now operating in the crypto industry because
Yeah,
of all the things you mentioned.
yeah, I fully agree with that. I think like right now we cannot be in a better place than here, especially like on my side, from a legal point of view, with the latest law that has been passed in Switzerland, which make it like much more certain as an environment to operate with. So very good choice for us to be there, right? And also full of events, when there's no corona, there's a lot of opportunities to network with a lot of interesting people. So
Yeah, it's slowly but surely opening up again. So I cannot wait for the events to kick off.
me
Yeah.
too.
Well,
And
I was lucky
Chris,
enough to be there in when was it, October, and I got to meet Delphine and the entire crew over there. I spent just over a week, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful. I hope you allow Canadians back there one day.
well, I hope too. I hope so. Hopefully, maybe in a few weeks. We don't know. Depending on how you progress with the vaccination, I guess, as maybe you can come for Con in June.
Maybe, maybe.
Okay. So, as every week, to kick things off, let's talk about the Bitcoin's price madness over the past week or so. We saw an all-time high of 65,000 and a red candle that followed, dropping the price to 47 to 48k range. What a dramatic roller coaster. Yet there are positive signs, plenty of buying power at the 49 to 50k as more people are getting into the game. And some analysts, like FundStrat lead digital asset strategist David Grider, believes that the pullback is healthy and is forecasting still 100,000 per Bitcoin by year. And Delphine, this goes along with your prediction. Chris, what are your thoughts? Do you have any price predictions, maybe?
Well, if I could predict the price of Bitcoin, I'd be sitting on an island somewhere probably right now. But listen, I think there's a lot of factors that affect the price of Bitcoin that a lot of people just aren't quite 100% aware of. One of those in this last 2 weeks we know, which was Tesla, which acquired a whole bunch of Bitcoin down around the $30,000 level, sold about $150 million ahead of the quarter. And they were able to count that as revenue, right? So that goes straight to their earnings line. So that's one of these whale trades that we keep hearing about, that whales are coming in and out of the market and causing dramatic price shifts. JP Morgan, Fidelity, others have all announced their programs to be able to offer Bitcoin to their investors. And I would say that the underlying factors that create so much volatility in this particular market there's only two things that can really do that. One is leverage, and two is derivatives. And on the leverage side, I don't think people understand just how much leverage is in the Bitcoin markets. So many of the exchanges are offering 2, 3, 5 times leverage on your purchases. That creates a massive air gap underneath the price many times, and people don't, when you want to go and sell that, you have to unwind that trade not once but 5 times. And the second thing is, most people that think they own Bitcoin don't really own it. They own some form of derivative, they own some sort of optionality to the underlying price, but they don't own Bitcoin. And that works out amazing as long as the price keeps going up. If the price were to start to go down and you have all this leverage combined with all that derivative trade, that can be extremely dangerous for investors that really think that they own the underlying asset and all they own is a right to it.
Yeah, interesting point. I guess the Bitcoin price crash news come along with the President Biden's plan to raise the long-term capital gains tax. That can be one potential catalyst. But we're seeing like restoration of the price. So are you giving us your prediction or prognosis by the year end?
I think 100,000 is within reach for 2021. I think that's within reach. It's going to go to 100,000 before it goes to 10,000. There's my prediction.
Nice.
I like this prediction, Chris.
Me
I
too.
fully agree with it.
Yeah, so what is interesting is that what we're seeing is more positive developments. So I think, yeah, we definitely see bull run getting started, or either it's in the middle of the bull run. So, for example, check out the following news. Major American cryptocurrency exchange Gemini now lets its users purchase cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin with Apple Pay and Google Pay. And Gemini users can now connect their debit cards to Apple Pay or Google Pay for buying crypto with fiat on the platform. And this is a huge deal in terms of adoption, but not bad for the intermediaries either, as apparently the platform retains 3.49% of the total purchase amount from deposits carried out via debit card transfers, while wire transfers and crypto-to-crypto deposits are free of charge. So this creates a huge revenue streams also for the intermediaries involved. So I think everybody are benefiting, not like in this mass adoption of cryptos, even big corporates, tech corporates.
If you go back to the white paper in 2008, it's a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, and I'm not seeing so far a lot of peer-to-peer transactions on Bitcoin. In fact, we've recreated the banks, we've recreated the brokers. They're just intermediaries on a different medium, and like the banks and brokers of the past, they're taking egregious fees for simple transactions at 3% and 4%. Just enormous fees for trading this stuff, and that's where all the bad stuff happens, right? It's the third parties. Don't blame Bitcoin, blame these exchanges. From Mt. Gox onward, there's been so many disaster stories, and in the absence of proper regulation, these bad players show up.
Yes, indeed. I fully agree with you, Chris. I really do. Like, I'm a crypto believer, so I also think third parties are there. But on the other hand, if you look at the news about Apple Pay and Google Pay, I think it might push toward more mass adoption because it will make it more visible for retail people to try to look at it and make it maybe a little bit less nerdy. And so there's another news on that side. There's the mobile payment provider called Venmo has announced its crypto investing service, allowing its 70 million customers to buy, hold, and sell crypto directly within the app in the coming weeks. So customers using crypto on Venmo can choose between Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. And that also shows like, like all the third parties are like kind of feeling they're going to miss the train, but they also allow like, people to actually like kind of play with crypto, right? And we also saw this last week, Ripple agreed to acquire 40% of the Asia leading cross-border payment specialist called Tranglo. And this partnership will enable Ripple to meet growing customer demand in the region and expand the reach of Ripple Net on-demand liquidity, which is called ODL service. And it uses the digital asset XRP to instantly send money and reduce working capital needs. So quite interesting development. Chris, any take on that?
Well, I think a lot of these things, aren't really solving a problem. Like it's not making things any better than using cash or using your bank or using your credit card. I think in the case, I think you mentioned in there about cross-border, which makes me think about remittances, and I think the remittance market is ripe for disruption. So many economies depend on their citizens going and working in other places and sending money back home to their families, and the only way to do that in small amounts now is typically like Western Union type services and things like that, and they take sometimes up to 20%. Which is just awful that they take those kind of percentages. So, the adoption of wallets and being able to send money easily or send crypto easily from one place to another, that's a real problem that needs solving. And I know the Bitcoin Association and others are spending a lot of time in developing nations where they're trying to get the adoption of digital wallets going so they can solve exactly that problem. That's a lot of money that's being taken off the table when somebody's trying to send $200 or $300 or $400 back home every month, and somebody's taking 20% of it.
Yeah, also, so the Venmo is the side company of PayPal, so offering the crypto services, and I also checked their service fee for transferring is 3%, so similar to the Gemini, Apple Pay, and Google Pay. But basically what they do is they take the technical aspects out of it, like hosting your own crypto private seed phrase and private keys, and make it more convenient. But I think for this kind of intermediary fees, maybe people should invest more into education, and then this all can be done from your own decentralized wallet to another.
Absolutely.
But it's still less than the alternative payments, which we know, like you mentioned. But some of you may remember we had Hani Rashwan on our show a few months back. Shout out for one of the best Clubhouse discussions we had about buying cryptos. So Hani's company 21 Shares has been in the news again, and this time round with the following. So the 21 Shares has created Stellar ETP with the ticker AXLM, and Cardano ADA ETP with the ticker AADA, which were listed on the Swiss SIX stock exchange on April 26th. So big congrats to Hani and the team.
Yes, indeed, Shirley, that's an exciting news. And it was the day of my birthday. So great achievement there.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. And I think that's another milestone again, like to have more mass adoption. But also, in Canada, there is I think 4 ETFs that are traded in Canada. In the US, apparently there is 11 applications with 3 that are under review. I'm kind of curious to see what the SEC is going to do, because recently they said that they have started to look at one at the end of last year, but they won't do anything before end of June. Chris, do you have any insight on that, or do you have any information on what's going on there?
I don't know if I have any insights, but I think the advent of the ETF was like the beginning of how markets really started to change and move away from your traditional stockbroker, and allowed people. It gave more access to markets to a broader group of people. Crypto ETFs are definitely going to be able to do the same thing. People want liquidity and be able to buy and sell just like they buy and sell a stock. And the Robinhood phenomenon is, I think, another amazing development in the last 10 years that has really brought finance, investing, to the masses, and more people are able to participate, and you can also buy Ethereum, BTC, BSV in your Robinhood account now. So, Canada was first with the ETFs, and one thing I know is the Americans won't let us be better at anything. So they'll have plenty of ETFs soon enough.
Thank you for that.
Delphine, what's been happening in the regulatory and compliance side of the crypto space?
Oh my God, a lot of things as usual. Every week I feel it's keeping growing and growing, right? So first topic, so the smart contract platform Algorand plans to achieve a carbon negative network by implementing a sustainability oracle in partnership with Climate Trade, in a move that could make blockchain adoption more environmentally friendly. Like this question of environment has been popping up in the news a lot, since a few weeks and even months.
Yeah.
Everyone is always talking about Bitcoin and the environment imprint that it could have. And I actually posted an article on LinkedIn last week, which I found quite interesting because there's a lot of controversies about that. A lot of articles are just focusing on Bitcoin and the creation of it is polluting and is not good for the environment. But have we actually looked at all the financial system currently working? Well, I'm not so sure about that. So, Chris, I'm sure you have some interesting things to say on that topic.
Well, listen, you're the regulatory expert. Here's what I know is that the stakes are far too high now not to have some form of proper regulation. But you tell me, what's the consensus? Is Bitcoin a security? Is it an asset? What is it? We kind of have to put it into a bucket of some type before we're going to figure out how to regulate it properly. And so if it's a security, Biden's capital gains tax matters. If it's an asset, it's something different entirely. And the more and more people start using it for payments and other things, it starts to look less and less like a security to me. But that stuff's this is all politics. So you tell me which way the wind's blowing. But I think Biden's base, even more so than the Republican base, loves crypto. Crypto skews younger, it skews more democratic, so they'll. I think a politician is an animal that will do whatever it takes to get reelected. So if their base likes this stuff, they'll figure out a way to keep it in their hands.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I will try to stay away from giving my opinion on what Bitcoin and how it qualifies, because I think it's a very controversial topic, and stay away from the controversies.
I'm very impressed. I checked also the Algorand announcement article and the date, and I was very impressed how well timelined the announcement was on the marketing perspective, being at the time where eyes all around the world were on the World Climate Summit news, where leaders of 40 countries gathered together on the summit to discuss how to reduce the CO2 emissions. So that came along very well played, I would say, but I wonder how much are they actually going to do about it, because it's a proof of stake consensus, which anyways is already I'm not sure how much emissions are they producing.
Probably not that much.
Yeah. So it's a good marketing trick, I would say.
Well, at the end of the day, there are a few companies we're all doing the same, right? We need to have some marketing tricks to attract people,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Some are more ethical than others, I would say.
The whole environmental aspect of it is interesting. We talk about the power consumption in Bitcoin mining and how enormous it is, and but we don't talk about regular data center and computing. How much power that the Googles and the Amazons and Facebooks around the world consume, and it's enormous. And it's probably multiples of whatever Bitcoin is doing right now. But there are solutions to it, and just as an example, the protocol that we're on, Bitcoin SV, right now is probably less than half of 1% of what's being consumed on BTC, and there's some technical reasons for that. And I think that'll all get sorted out, and we're only a couple of years away from another halving, and eventually mining for reward is going to go away. It's we kind of run out of coins, so they're going to have to mine for transaction processing, and that should take a lot of players out of the game.
Yes, exactly, and this is where here we come with Taal with transaction processing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's keep
Any
up
other
with.
news?
Oh yeah, I have a few other ones, surely, as you may guess. So we have the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission, the SEC, has begun its formal review of Cryptoins, Bitcoin Exchange Trading Fund application. So the countdown have started for that. So that was an interesting one. I think it was on Monday. We also have the stablecoin issuer and blockchain startup Paxos has become the third crypto-native company to score a federal trust charter through the U.S. Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, which is, I think, quite impressive news. Less positive. The head of South Korea Financial Regulatory Agency has created some controversies by saying all countries' cryptocurrency exchanges could be shut down in September because they haven't received any application for registration. So that's a little bit crazy. I don't know what is going on there, but I can't wait to...
Probably some personal interest to fill up their bags and sell off on the kimchi premium.
I don't know, but in April they passed a new regulation saying that crypto exchanges and everyone dealing with crypto in South Korea has to register with the financial regulator, and that was beginning of April, and it was announced already end of last year, and so far they haven't not received anything. But my guess is that I think they are asking a lot of things to be in place, and I think at the moment only big players might be able to get it and prepare all the documentation. So, but let's see. I'm very curious to know what's going to happen there. And then our friends, the Turkish, surely the story keep going, right, with them.
The Turkish saga.
Oh yes. So no, the Turkish authorities have blocked all onshore bank accounts of cryptocurrency exchange platform in the country. So not such a good news. They have also arrested a few people from a crypto exchange there because the CEO allegedly disappeared. But who knows with the Turkish authority what is true and what is not true? I'm not sure. Then on a positive side, in the US, Jackson in Tennessee is the latest city to embrace the potential of Bitcoin. So according to its mayor, they plan on having payroll conversion for their employees, as well as exploring mining Bitcoin to add to their balance sheet. So quite interesting there. And last but not least, more on the compliance side, the crypto custodian BitGo is set to manage the US Marshal Services of tainted Bitcoin under a 4.5 million contract, and that was revealed last week. The Federal Law Enforcement Agency had been looking at different providers to handle tainted coin. So I remember on that, it was 2 years ago, I was discussing with the Zurich Cantonal Police, and they also had the same problem about what are they going to do with tainted coin and coming from criminal origin, coins they are sizing, and they were looking also at a regulated type of provider to have the coins in custody. So that was quite an interesting news, I think. Chris, do you have any take on that?
I think there's that last point is really interesting. Is like, what do we do with stuff that with coins that are seized that have been proven to be used in the illicit market? Like, how do you scrub these or get a certificate saying, okay, now they've been seized and they can go and recirculate and not get into an issue, just like us when we receive Bitcoin, we do our searches, or you do that actually. You
Yes,
make sure
yes,
that
I do
everything's okay.
that.
the royal we. So I think that's really interesting. The stuff in Jackson, is I think jurisdictions that embrace this stuff can be early leaders on it. There was news last week also that the mayor of Miami is inviting Bitcoin mining to Florida as well. They have ample nuclear power there, which is the greenest of the green power, and it's virtually unlimited. So places that embrace this, I think, are not only going to attract the business, but the talent and the capital that comes along with it. So progressive places, just like the same reason we're in Zug, places that are progressive will get the businesses and therefore get the taxes. And resisting this stuff at this point, I don't understand the argument at this point in time. Like, exactly what have the central bankers done to give us faith and trust in the currencies that we're currently using? It seems to me, something that is decentralized and limited in size is pretty attractive to us now as we turn on the printing press, not only here, but kind of everywhere in the world.
Indeed. And it has been, a very eventful week. We have both bearish and bullish news, depending on the regions. I would like to close our today's digest off with the last bit of news. Alexander Lebedev, a Russian oligarch, is going full on crypto. A former KGB officer in the Soviet Union, prominent banker in the post-Soviet Russia, and out-of-favor millionaire under President Vladimir Putin, Lebedev is now hitching his wagon to cryptocurrency. A big part of crypto's appeal is that it is supposed to bypass the same banking industry that made Lebedev rich. Ironic how the tides have turned, isn't it? And on this note, thank you so much for joining us, Delphine and Chris. Do we have anyone in the audience who would like to ask a question to our guests or to our hosts? Feel free to raise your hand. It doesn't even have to be connected to today's news.
Yeah, or if you have any comment or something to add, you're welcome to ask now. Oh, we have someone. I think, this button. Did it work? No. Yes. Hi, Michael. How are you?
Hi, Michael.
Hi, everyone. I'm fine. Thanks so much. Hope you're all well. I have one question. I'll try to keep it short because you may have other things to do this evening. Just to clarify in my mind, you said that Taal is using technology based on Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, correct? And from what I know, this is the brainchild of Craig White. You've probably heard of him, most of you, if not, but I'm not going to go into that because it's a longer story. As far as we all know, Bitcoin is not very well known for its programmability. I'm specifically talking about smart contracts and that to be used in decentralized finance and so on. So it's mainly probably a question for Chris or Delphine. Is that what Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, this platform, is trying to rectify, improve on Bitcoin with an extra possibilities to program it to be useful? Things like, does it have smart contracts, for example? That's one of my questions. Or how do you program in Bitcoin Satoshi Vision?
Right. So I'm happy to weigh in here. Keep in mind, I'm the finance guy, not the technical guy.
Sure.
But absolutely, you can program on Bitcoin. It was always intended to do that. The big difference between BSV and BTC is block size, and those blocks with unlimited size, you can pack all kinds of transactions, all kinds of data into these blocks. Where BSV is still gaining its legs is on all the on-ramping tools and API that make it easier for programmers to develop applications on top of Bitcoin. I think some stuff was just released this week on the Bitcoin Association website. You're going to see a lot more of that. There's plenty of companies now, including our sister company Unchained, that is building all kinds of tools for developers to build on top of Bitcoin. And so the baseline protocol has what we really need, which is that scale and that ultra low cost. Now we can take the applications. The good news is that via Ethereum and other platforms, we know what the market is looking for, and there are developers out there working very, very hard to make sure that we have all the tools necessary to make it easy for developers and enterprise to build applications on Bitcoin.
Excellent. So they're in development as far as I understood. So programmability smart contracts are coming. Yeah, they're not quite there yet, or
some have been released. There's also we have a patent on a zero level token, which is going to provide a lot of operability, and you're going to see all of that this year. So some are out now and some are coming.
That's great. Thanks very much, Chris. That's
Thank
it
you.
from me. Thanks a lot. Have a nice one.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks. Bye.
Does anyone else in the audience wants to comment any of the news or wants to ask a question? Raise your hand. I think I don't see any raised hands anymore. Delphine, you're the host today.
No, I don't see anyone else. So thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today. I think it was a super interesting discussion. Shirley, thank you for hosting as usual. It was a pleasure to do it with you.
Thank you. And who wants to read more in-depth news, then you can visit every Monday evening for fresh news on velas.com/digest, which is conducted by our team of analysts. And tune in every Wednesday at 6 p.m. CET for the Velas Blockchain Digest here on Clubhouse. And also join our house here, the official Velas Club. And you can listen to our recordings in podcast, in Spotify, or in YouTube. So thank you so much, and thank you for listening, and see you next week.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.